Good topic today. Releasing stress.
Chronic stress is a really big problem, especially in the modern age, because we do a lot of sitting in our modern age. So we're doing a lot of like computer work and driving, and we've talked about this before. The body is designed when there is a stress response to actually release the neurochemicals that are associated with that. So cortisol, epinephrine, tachykinin. You want to be able to release those from your system so you can move forward. And if you see animals in the wild, they do that quite naturally. We would do that quite naturally if we were not in our modern sort of rut. So what happens is that not only do we have the stresses from, let's say, our workday, right? You're at a computer, you're on the phone, lots of stresses are building up, but you're not moving your body enough to sort of release those stress chemicals. And the problem is that even though we're very sophisticated as humans these days, we still operate from a very primal place. So way back when, if there was a stress and it was chronic, right, the thing that would be prioritized in the brain is there must be a risk to our survival, and starvation may be at hand. So a lot of people are eating the right things, they're exercising, and for some reason they can't get rid of that belly fat, right? We've talked about this before. So there's that visceral fat around the middle section, which is actually much more dangerous to the health. And when it's disproportionate like that, what's happening is chronic stress, because the body basically goes, oh, there's stress and it's ongoing stress. There must be a risk just to our survival. We might starve. And so it starts to store fat right around those vital organs to keep you safe and to help you survive.
Can I show you how much I've been listening to you over the years?
Sure.
Cortisol.
Yes. Cortisol, exactly.
Just thought I'd throw that out.
Absolutely. So you have cortisol, you have this, epinephrine, and you're creating this issue for yourself long term. So it's really important to know, to kind of step back from your life enough to know, okay, for a lot of people, unfortunately, the thing that makes you most successful, the thing that you enjoy the most, is often the source of your greatest stress, right? So a lot of people are like, well, I really love what I do, and I actually am really happy with the results that I'm producing, but I am so stressed out, right? So it's important to recognize, again, and to say to yourself, like, okay, I am still in a primal body, and I need to actually go back to what a long time ago, when in the very beginning, back in the cave, human beings, we couldn't afford the resources to do anything other than what was going to support our survival. What that means is that if we go back to ancient times and we study what they were doing in the cave, they were still incorporating things like chanting and singing, dancing. They were still walking barefooted and climbing trees. And so we need to know that this isn't just something that we do because we now have some off time. This is actually essential for our well-being and our survival as people. So if we can return to that, there's some really incredible science now, tapping into the ancient wisdom of before and recognizing that there are some really powerful tools that we can bring into our modern life, and to remember that we are going to be more effective at our job. I hear a lot of people saying, well, I don't have the time. It's kind of a waste of time. Just kind of sit there and meditate and go for a walk outside. I have all these things. Well, here's the thing, is that you are going to have a cost to your health. And so it's better for you to actually invest right now in the practices that are going to take care of the basic biosuit that you're operating in, right? So that you can go long term, and the quality of what you produce is better. Because as we know, when you're in a chronic state of stress, you've got cortisol going, right? All those hormones, it's kind of on a seesaw with the attraction hormones like oxytocin, serotonin, right? So if you think about, like, okay, if my cortisol is up, I'm in amygdala hijack. And what happens actually is that your brain actually taps both the amygdala, which is the seat of emotion, and also the hippocampus, which is the seat of memories. So if you ever really mess up at work or mess up with anything, and you recognize all of a sudden you're remembering all the other times that you messed up, your brain is doing that to help you to survive. It's trying to protect you from, it's like, look, you have a history here, let's do something different going forward. But the problem is that when you're in that amygdala hijack, now your creative centers, your rational thinking, your reasoning mind is offline. So if you're running a business, or if you're running a family, or you're doing something that requires your best self to show up for it, you need to understand that if you're in a chronic state of stress, you go into what Dr. Tara Swart calls low power mode. So moms who I talk to who say that they are in zombie mode. They just feel like they're going through the motions of the day. I also talk to executives that are having the same experience. I'm doing what I need to survive in this situation, but I know there's something off, right? So it's kind of like a thing. And that happens because, again, the primary resources are, it's actually like, okay, there's stress going on right here. So when you're in a state of stress and survival, your brain's not going to prioritize creativity. It's not going to prioritize living.
It's just surviving.
It's surviving, exactly.